All's good. All right, let's get started. So, medical illustrations have been used throughout history to document the human anatomy. The use of visual aids in educational text can be seen anywhere from medical professionals all the way down to patient care. I'm Horizon, and I will be talking about the history and impact of medical illustrations. I'll be covering the history of them, the process of preparing them for publication, and the use of them in medical education, and the use in patient education. To begin, I'll be talking about the history of medical illustrations. Anatomy has been written about throughout history, but drawing not so much. The first documented drawings of them were from prehistoric times. There was a drawing of a mammoth with a heart on it, and that is assumed to be the first anatomical drawing, but we can't be too sure. For the most part, physicians would do their studies and then they would write about it. It wasn't until thousands of years later they started drawing about it. However, those studies were based on dissections of animals, and they just thought that that would transfer over to human studies. Fast forward a little further to the Renaissance era. You see more of the human body in paintings, and they really focused on the accuracy of human anatomy. And a lot of those artists, such as Da Vinci and Michelangelo, those artists, a lot of them were also scientists. So they contributed a lot to the documentation of the human body. So moving on a little further in history, doctors and scientists would draw their own. And Dr. Frank Netter and artist Max Bruder pioneered the modern illustration, and their work can still be seen in medical textbooks and medical pamphlets and advertisements even today. In the article, Preparing Effective Medical Illustrations for Publication, drawing an illustration that was last updated in November of last year, C.S. Wang of the Department of Biomedical Imaging at the University of Malaysia, he says, there is more to creating illustrations than meets the eye. The paramount consideration should be whether the reader will find the illustrations informative and easily interpretable without reading the text. Medical illustration is a specialty within itself, and that's what's really cool about it. Doctors no longer have to draw their own diagrams. They don't have to make their own charts to learn information. They can hire an artist, but not just any graphic designer. The medical illustrator has to have a background in medical information or science in order to make these drawings. But like any graphic design, it still incorporates, we can still incorporate traditional mediums like watercolor, acrylic painting, the pen and ink, things of that matter. While a lot of these images are limited to black and white for print and computer scans, it's still important to take those and put them through editing to make sure that they're accurate and portray that information needed depending on the audience. The images must be simple enough to grasp the information, but informative and not too overwhelming. So we get to our typical audiences of these illustrations. on the higher level, which is medical students and even professionals. Medical students typically learn better when they have a diagram or the charts in front of them when they're learning these new concepts. If you're a visual learner, you typically learn better when you see either like the 3D model or a picture. It helps you gather that information rather than reading pages and pages of text. The same can also apply even with medical professionals, even though they're well rehearsed in procedures and charting and all of that. Having a visual in front of them can help them visualize things such as surgeries. There's surgical models and surgical illustrations to help physicians and surgeons visualize the approach they're going to take with treating patients. So according to an article called The Effect of Different Styles of Medical Illustrations on Information, Comprehension, and Perception of Educational Materials from the University of Auckland, New Zealand, the Department of Psychological Medicine, including visuals and educational text can help with the understanding and compliance with medical information. Which brings us to the patient level. Patients typically understand the condition better when there's a simple illustration or some sort of visual of the condition. For example, you go to your doctor's office and you see the poster on the wall in the exam room. With the information that's on it, typically whatever conditions are posted on, let's say it's a picture of a heart and it has the diagram and the breakdown of it and maybe potential diseases or how to keep your heart healthy. You're typically more able to grasp that information of the text that's on that poster with the visual. You'll recall that information better because of that picture and the colors and the contrast and everything with that picture. Same thing with viewing scans with your doctor rather than them just explaining it to you. When they allow you to view the scan with you, even if you don't understand half the things your doctor is telling you, just being able to view that scan with them helps you understand it better. So medical illustrations are used in all areas of the field, from professionals all the way down to patients, in helping us understand the human body better. I covered the history of anatomical illustrations and medical illustrations, the process of what goes into them, how they are used in the medical setting, and how they are used in with patient education. So next time you go to your doctor's office, you might just pay more attention to that poster on the wall. Thank you.
Informative, I think that was. You do understand things better with pictures. What if there wasn't?